going to quote you here because it's a beautiful sentence. Each of my novels is fueled by loss. I find myself speaking of my mother's death everywhere I go in the world. You've edited a book of essays, Amnesia, an anthology of writing on the subject of memory loss. Oliver Sacks is one of the contributors to this. And I'm curious, why amnesia?
What I do is use what I can get hold of, and often that's my mother's death, and so I've written about motherless children several different ways and different times, but I use anything I can use to get at fundamental suspicions I have about the kind of broken quality of our waking life, the incompleteness or instability in experience itself. You know, and one of the reasons that I was so struck in a funny way by the loss occurring within the space of my own family was that up to that point, my family was a kind of bulwark against an assumption of things being lost. I grew up in New York City at a time when it was kind of a ruined city, and my parents were idealists, leftists, radicals, but by the early 70s, with the election of Nixon and the kind of souring of the pure transformative idealism of the 60s counterculture, there was a feeling of you know, a wrecked crusade or a wrecked project that was in the background of our world, and that certainly, with Reagan's election then, became very absolutely the story of kind of a, you know, there was something that we almost had and it fell apart. And my mother was also herself a survivor of a very dark family. You know, she was an only child. My grandfather, who I never met, left my grandmother when my mother was 3, and so the two women grew up to, you know, my mother grew up as an only child of a divorced mother in Queens who worked at a pickle factory, and, you know, and my grandmother, the worker at the pickle factory, was a very, very dark woman, totally obsessed with the Holocaust, which infused our family very deeply. The sense that the world was kind of a disaster zone, a place where things were being taken away or might be taken away at any moment. And so then my mother, the most forceful and an extraordinary person that I knew, and the one who seemed to hold everything together, a great creator of meaning and feeling, herself was lost. And I didn't experience this as a disenchantment. I experienced it as a confirmation. Oh, see, everything I've been warned about, the world, can come all the way to you and reach you in your own center. And so I think in a funny way, I was already predisposed to look at the world that way. And that's why in my work, it's always a conflation of personal loss with this kind of amnesic disaster or some other kind of, you know, black hole coming and taking away what you care about. It's a meaningful confusion for me. It's one that I can't stop exploring, plumbing out.